All Blacks and Ireland, folks. The rematch from Chicago, and this time it goes the All Blacks way. 26 points to 13. This game was pretty ugly at times. I think if this is the sequel to the original was probably a better watch, although from a personal point of view, my team actually won this one. So that's something, but yeah. Red card to Tyke Byrne certainly didn't help Ireland's start, and the All Blacks losing 2 of their 3 Barretts within the first 20 minutes. Likewise, the All Blacks did finally get going towards the end of the game. The final 20 was good, but up until about, I want to say like the 50th minute, Ireland had a heck of a lot of momentum in this game. They were leading like 13-7, putting the squeeze on. All Blacks held out, and then in those final 20 managed to take the game away. But yeah, we'll go through some of the key events and the stats. You guys can let us know your thoughts on how this one went. As I said, like the start of the game is not the best ad for rugby if you're looking to promote the game in the US, because like there's a very early TMO stoppage, and it takes them an awful long time to find the footage for the ref to actually have a look at, because they can't get the big screen working. It's not a great look. It's Tyke Byrne, shoulder to the head of Beauden Barrett, which when I say that doesn't sound very good for Byrne, but he's kind of reactionary bracing himself. He is very upright. I don't think either of these passes players, because Roygaard shovels it to Bodie. I don't think Bodie was expecting the ball, and I don't think Byrne was expecting Bodie to get the ball. So they're both kind of just brace into each other, and Tyke Byrne collides with Bodie's head. I reckon it's probably a yellow, but I don't know that that's a red. It's only a 20-minute red these days, so it doesn't affect the match like it would have, but it's unfortunate for Ireland because they certainly could have used some of Tyke Byrne's like breakdown ability later on when, you know, they needed a big turnover. Like when the All Blacks were getting them from Artie, Ireland would have loved that from Tyke. So he only lasts 2 minutes, 3 minutes in this game before he goes off with his initially yellow and then upgraded to red. So, I don't know. If it's mine, it's probably a yellow. Maybe by the letter of the law, it's a red these days, but I don't know. I don't feel like that's a red card personally. But, I mean, despite the man advantage, the All Blacks were not turning the screws on Ireland. The All Blacks were very loose, like a line-out not straight. Both line-outs struggled. Neither line-out coach is going to be happy with how their sides were operating there. Penalty conceded by the All Blacks for obstruction meant Ireland were able to slot 3 points with the man disadvantage. So managing the initial yellow card period very well. Then the card gets upgraded to red. And also Scotty Barrett's gone off at the same time. Byrne's gone off. He's gone off with an injury. So the All Blacks lose their captain within 2 minutes. And Geordie Barrett goes off 10 minutes later, likewise with an injury. He tries to run it off, but you could see from the look on his face, he had a bit of anguish on there. They taped his leg up, but he was always limping, so he had to go off as well. So not ideal for the All Blacks to lose 2 of their 3 Barretts. I'm surprised the other Barrett, Bodie, survived the game because he was taking head knocks and whiplash and getting thoroughly bashed around. Like, I mean, the red card is against him, but he didn't even go off for an HIA, so I'm surprised we kept 1 Barrett on the field, to be honest. But as I say, despite the man advantage, Ireland are looking the better of the two sides. On 15 minutes, not long after Geordie's gone off, All Blacks concede a penalty, and Ireland are like, no, we're not going for any more threes. We'll go for touch. We'll turn the screws, because I guess they could feel they had the momentum. And fair enough, and it's close range phases. The lineout's a bit scrappy. Again, neither lineout was great, but it finishes off with a ripper of a pass from Jamieson Gibson Park to Tyke Furlong, who busts over for Ireland's first and only try of the game. 10-point lead despite the man disadvantage. Like, you're thinking Ireland are going to come into this one a little bit rusty or underdone. Well, it didn't look at the start of the game. Maybe it looked at the end, but it certainly didn't look at the start. 10 points to 0, Ireland lead. And then finally New Zealand start to wake up. They start to click a bit. We do get the best period of play. I mean, Lester Fainga'anuku, who's had to come on because Geordie's gone off. He gets a bit of a half break, beats a tackle, offloads, and then Will Jordan looks like he might scamper through for one of his many tries, like adding to his try tally. But no, Josh van der Fleer's got a cracking cover tackle on him from behind. But the All Blacks do shift it through the hands. The forwards getting their hands on the pill and able to shovel it wide. De Groot, Lord, Parker, and then Savea over in the corner. 10 points to 7. That's the only scoring of the first half, a try apiece, and that's probably the best the All Blacks attack looked in that first half in terms of being able to get go forward ball and being able to just catch pass and make it look kind of silky. Both sides from here on out, like for the rest of the first half, they're popping high balls to each other. Some of them are getting caught, some of them are getting dropped. Both sides' lineouts continue to struggle a bit. Ireland did go 12 phases at one point before Crowley put a grubber kick through, and Bodie Barrett was able to kind of shut that one down. I was a little bit frustrated by Ireland a few times in this game when they did have that position and territory where they opted for that final kick through when I felt like they weren't that far away from squeezing the All Blacks. Potentially, I don't know, they a bit of a let off sometimes. I guess it's if you get the kick and someone dots it down, or you regather it, or there's a handling error from the opposition, you look like you're a genius. But when the opposition's able to snuff it out, it just looks like a wasted opportunity. That's what it felt like. After 12 phases, it felt like they could have hung on to it a bit more. There's two players that go off for HIA, Simon Parker for the ABs, they're loose forward, and James Ryan for Ireland as well. So there's more casualties, although both those guys thankfully did pass and come back on in the second half. Bodie had a very, very last minute mark of the ball before halftime. I don't think he marked it. He pretty much just ran into touch and then kind of lifted his arm up, which was a bit lucky. But yeah, certainly Ireland go into the sheds with the momentum from the end of that first half. Like the run meters is 144 to 164 to the All Blacks. That's low. That's not a lot of running from either side. I don't think the first half is a great ad for the game. Like I enjoy it because I'm a pretty diehard rugby union fan. But like if you're an American who's attending your first rugby match, I don't know that you'd be sold on the game based on that first half. There's been 2 clean breaks, both to New Zealand. Defenders beaten as 8-9, so not much in it. There's been a fair bit of kicking, 20 by Ireland, 14 by the All Blacks. Gibson Parks, in particular, as we box kicks have been causing a bit of havoc in the All Blacks backfield. Neither lineout's good. 6 from 10 Ireland, 9 from 11 All Blacks, and Ireland has dominated, well, not dominated, but they've edged the possession and the territory. Second half, Ireland continue to pressure the All Blacks defence. Again, there's a couple of kicks which go through. It does give the Irish a chance to kind of camp down New Zealand's end. But again, it is also a little bit of a let-off in terms of the All Blacks don't have to keep defending for a while because they're able to clear. But the Irish are able to reset for attack. We do get a really nice Savia turnover one to get us out of jail when we're under pressure. Savia is that kind of player. And as I said, that's what the Irish could have used on like the 67th or 62nd minute, a big Tyke Burn turnover to get them out of jail. They didn't have that because he got himself red carded. So Savia doing it for the All Blacks. He's been saving our skins for a wee while, so he certainly helped ride that period of Irish momentum. Then we go offside on 47 minutes. Jack Crowley has a long shot at goal because it feels like tries are going to be hard to come by. Pushes it wide, but it doesn't really matter because the All Blacks concede another one at the breakdown not too long later and get March 10 for a bit of back chat. Ref was pretty strict on a few things, like the back chat. Both sides got March 10 at one point. Crowley got told off for not taking the kick from the mark at one point. So, yeah, he wasn't... he was being particular about certain things, the ref, for this one. But, yeah, March 10, and the Irish guys were able to slot that one. So a minute after they missed that previous penalty, they get the 3 points anyway. So 13-7. I feel like that's pretty much the high point for the Irish in this game because it's a decent lead. I mean, they were 10-0 up earlier, but they've had a lot of momentum start of the second half, into the first half. There's been more Irish pressure than New Zealand pressure for sure. And like that penalty basically came from New Zealand losing a high ball contest, which is something we are very familiar with, sadly, here in New Zealand at the minute. But New Zealand did win a scrum penalty, which threatened to get us a bit of momentum, although Ryan Baird stole the next line out, so it kind of snuffed it out before it really started. But then on 60 minutes, Quinn Tupaia wins a breakdown penalty, and it comes from some great kick chase. I think it was turnover ball from Ireland. Will Jordan hoofs it long, and then Crowley is kind of stuck tracking back. He gets one-handed caught by Fabian Holland, who's able to just hang on to him long enough so that when he gets properly tackled, Tupai is able to get over the ball, win that breakdown penalty. That gives us a chance to maul. The maul gets advantage, 5-meter tap, and then after a couple of phases, Tamaiti Williams is able to burrow over. Well, you couldn't see nothing from our camera angle, but the ref was in a pretty good position, so he saw a grounding, and he gives the ABs that one. So 13-14 with the conversion. The All Blacks go in front for the first time of the game, and then the final 20, the All Blacks actually started to look like the All Blacks again. It was quite pleasing. Like, there's another one 6 minutes later. Again, it's the hands. I think it's Tamaiti Williams in the build-up. Bodie, who's still on the field despite lots of collisions. D-Mac, who's come on, gets himself a wee half break, and then Satiti with a nice support line. And to be fair, that whole bit of territory started with the All Blacks way deep in their own end, with a scrum down their own end. Cam Roigard with a ripper of a pass out to Caleb Clark, who had a big break down the wing and hoofed it long. So that got the All Blacks out of their own territory instead of just like a standard exit place. It was that little bit of ambition, a little bit of, I don't know, that little bit of spark, which had been pretty absent in the AB's game, barring the kind of Savia try earlier. Yeah, it was nice to see that get going. But yeah, the Satiti try means it's 21-13. And we're still trying to land that killer blow because it doesn't feel like it's quite game over, but the momentum definitely feels like it's with the All Blacks at that point. 73-minute attacking line out. It's not straight, so it felt like a bit of a let-off. Bodie had missed touch earlier. He misses a horrendous touch at the end of the game when things are well done and dusted. But yeah, it felt like they were just pushing it up. But 76 minutes, Cam Roigard on the back of an attacking scrum. The All Blacks scrum did really start to turn the screws throughout the game as well. Roigard is so dangerous. The fact that he's still on at 76 minutes and he hasn't been subbed for Ratima shows you how much Razor rates him as our first choice. Like, after 76 minutes, he's still better than his replacement. He snipes, steps, and scores the try to make it 26-13, and then gets immediately subbed. So good for Ratima to get a bit of game time, but it's only a handful of minutes. The All Blacks did think they had one more as the clock went into the red, but it was chalked off for a forward pass. So All Blacks 4 tries, but 62, 67, and 77 minutes really shows you it took to the final 20 for the All Blacks to really get going. I feel like the Irish guys are going to regret the fact that, especially that period, I don't know, from like the 20th minute until the 50th, when they had that momentum, they were only really able to get a 3-pointer. Because they had heaps of momentum and heaps of possession and territory and phases down our end. So, yeah. Stats-wise, the All Blacks and Irish possession and territory numbers are pretty even. All Blacks 51% territory, 55% possession. Last 10 minutes, the possession was all with the AB, so that kind of pushes those numbers out a bit. Run meters, 407, 256 to the ABs. Defenders beaten 23-10 to the ABs. Clean breaks, 5-zip to the ABs. To not concede a line break the entire game. Defensively, that's cracking from the All Blacks. But like the line out, All Blacks is 75%. That's bad. Ireland 68%, that's worse. So neither side's going to be happy with that. Individuals, Tupaia, 3 turnovers, 1 cracking from him. Clark, 107 metres, 3 line breaks. Josh van der Fleer, 17 tackles. He's Ireland's and the match's top tackler. McCloskey was looking like dangerous early on. Some big carries and offloads and whatnot. He had 47 metres. Baird was good at line-out time, especially disruptive, and I think he was Ireland's top line-out guy in terms of securing their own ball. But yeah, might have been nice to see Ireland play the All Blacks next week instead of this week. I know they got the logistics of like being in Chicago. It either had to be first or it had to be last. But like Ireland got Japan next. I would like to see the All Blacks play Ireland after they'd had a game against Japan to kind of, you know, shake off a bit of the rust and get up to speed and whatnot. The All Blacks have got Scotland. Remember, Scotland played earlier against the States, so they kind of got their own, I don't want to call it a warm-up game, but you know what I mean? Even if they were without like their big guns like Finn Russell and Blair Kinghorn and whatnot, who were still, not released for an outside of the test window match. But yeah, the Scots will probably be in a slightly better position, having at least some of the squad having already had a game. But anyway, good finish from the ABs. As I said, this game was pretty ugly at times, but yeah, I'm happy enough with the final 20. Fingers crossed the fans in attendance were entertained. But yeah, shame about the red card, but yeah, it is what it is. You guys let us know your thoughts on the game. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. And yeah, I'll talk to you guys again soon. See you later.